The right answer. Add up the following numbers: 246, 918, 492, 501. This is a simple addition. There is one and only one right answer: 2,157. Schools and education are all about the right answer. What is the date of the Battle of Waterloo? What is the capital of Mongolia? What is the population of Nigeria? In all cases, there is a right answer, and you are supposed to know the right answer. Is this bad? No, it is excellent. We need to know the right answers and the right way to do things. The result, however, is that there is very little room for creativity and for possibilities. We need to do more in these areas. Increase chances. If you sit down to add up a column of numbers, or get your computer to do it for you, you know that, at the end of your effort, there will be a definite, correct, and useful answer. If you set out to manufacture an object, you know that at the end of the manufacturing process, you will have the completed object. With creativity, you do not have the certainty of output. You may have a focus and then make a creative effort, even using a lateral thinking tool, but the outcome cannot be guaranteed. You may have no ideas at all. You may have a few rather feeble ideas. As your skill improves, you will get more and better ideas, but there is no guarantee. Experiments have shown that groups using deliberate lateral thinking tools generate between 10 and 20 times as many ideas as those not using such tools. This is not surprising. Even so, there is no guarantee of a great idea. If you go fishing, you cannot be sure that you are going to catch anything. Certainly, you may have much more chance of catching a fish than someone who does not go fishing, but you cannot guarantee this on every occasion. There is a need to shift the fishing mindset. If you make a deliberate creative effort, you have an increased chance of having new ideas than if you make no such effort. There is also a disinclination to have new ideas because a new idea means disruption, risk, hassle, and bother. It seems better to continue with the existing routine until forced to change by circumstances or competitors. To overcome this reluctance, it is necessary to make the acceptance, trial, and use of new ideas easier. It should also be remembered that one of the main uses for creativity is to simplify operations. This is of direct benefit to those carrying out the operation. It is always worth investing in creativity, even if the outcome cannot be guaranteed. There is the increased chance that it will be. The benefits of new ideas can be huge. All that is required is some deliberate, creative effort. Schools and exams. Schools are all about information. Nothing else would fill the time allocated to education. This is grand babysitting with a more prestigious title. We do need some of this information, but by no means all of it. We are very happy with our thinking habits. We look at our scientific achievements and feel proud. This information is excellent, but it is not enough. Education is a self-satisfying system. Schools teach what they want and then set their own examinations to assess how well the students have learned the material. There is no assessment as to whether what has been taught traditionally has any relevance in the modern world. There is no assessment of very important things like thinking that are not being taught. Research by the ADKI organization has shown that teaching my thinking as a separate subject improves performance in every other subject by between 30 and 100%. There are thousands of schools around the world now doing this. Far too little time is spent directly and deliberately on teaching thinking. Encouraging the asking of questions, helping with analysis, and setting up debates are good, but only teach one aspect of thinking. Thinking can be taught directly and deliberately as a skill, and not just as a way of teaching another subject. Art. Art plays an important role in developing perceptions and insights. People are encouraged to look at things in different ways and to see what they may not have seen before. The downside of art is that it sometimes gives the impression that real life is all about emotions, feelings, and usually anguish and negativity. These are indeed an important part of life, but only because we have never emphasized other aspects. Art could do much more to encourage thinking. Leadership. With the exception of a few countries such as Venezuela, Malaysia and Singapore, leaders have been very negligent in encouraging thinking. This may be partly because they do not know what to do. It may also be due to their traditional advisors, who reject any new ideas. With regards to education, the population is very badly served by its elected leaders. These leaders should be investigating what can be done to teach thinking. In my experience, they have shown no interest in doing so. As a result, students and others are deprived of the opportunity to develop their thinking skills. There is also leadership at another level. World bodies like the UN need much better thinking. By definition, representative bodies are not going to be very good at thinking because they can only represent the traditional thinking of their own country. I did try for a while to set up a new thinking group at the UN, but it was like dancing in treacle. I have instead set up a World Centre for New Thinking and a World Council for New Thinking, which includes several Nobel laureates. These bodies have been relatively inactive so far, but that will change. Continuity. This is another of the key points. People teaching in teacher training colleges want to teach what they themselves have been taught. The examination systems have a strong continuity and dictate what should be taught. There are so many strands of continuity in education that change is very difficult and depends on individual teachers and school principals. To be fair, part of this neglect is caused by innocence and ignorance. Many people simply do not know that thinking can be taught directly and deliberately as a skill. They do not know that there are formal techniques of idea creativity and new frameworks for exploring subjects. All they may know may come from a possible one-sided piece written in one of the newspapers. Parents should be much more vigorous and vocal in demanding that things should happen. On behalf of their children, they are the consumers of education, and consumers need to have a voice. Right, wrong. In one of my books, I invented the term proto-truth. This describes something we hold to be true, providing we are trying to change it. This can be seen as applying to all truths or only some of them. It is the absolute nature of truth that locks us into arrogance and complacency and prevents us doing any further thinking. There is no greater block to creativity than the belief that we already have the true answer. In the same way, we dismiss something that is obviously wrong. What could we get from something that is wrong? When we learn the mental operation of movement, then we can use this instead of judgment. From wrong ideas used in formal provocations, we can get very useful ideas. The crazy suggestion that aeroplanes should land upside down leads to an interesting idea for supplying planes with a means of generating instant lift. So we have possibilities that can develop into useful ideas. We also have wrong ideas that can be treated as provocation and used for their movement value. The sharp judgment of right and wrong locks us into the past and into our existing frameworks and concepts. We need to dissolve this need to split things into right and wrong and unblock our creativity. Summary: 23 reasons. These are the 23 reasons why world thinking is so poor, and some ideas of what needs to be done to change that. You can probably add some more reasons of your own. They could all be summarized in the word complacency. We are so smug and satisfied with our existing thinking that we cannot see how poorly it serves us in the area of human affairs, creativity and design. More and more argument will not produce better ideas. There is a phrase that I've used repeatedly in this book. The phrase is, excellent but not enough. We are blocked and blinded by excellence. Our logic is excellent. Our obsession with information is excellent. But these are not enough. Unfortunately, our traditional thinking systems demand that you show something to be bad before you can ask for change. That is not always possible. Our existing thinking is not bad. It is merely seriously inadequate. There is no mystery about what can be done to add additional methods of thinking. Chapter 16. What can I do? The Palace of Thinking. Somewhere, somehow, I'm going to set up a magnificent palace of thinking. I may be able to do it from my own resources, or might have to rely on a